When we read the Gospels, we behold Jesus interacting with the people he's talking with. They often ask the first question, "What must I do to be saved?" And he will often ask them a question, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" Or he'll ask someone, "Why do you call me good?" I think we might sense that the most important question he asks is, "Who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am?" This Jesus, who some say is a teacher, some say or hope that he is a political messiah. He seems to be a rabbi, and then he is healing people. He is a walking, living question. And then he actually poses that question, "Who do you say that I am?" Today I'd like to ask, first, why is this such a challenging question? Second, why is it the most important question? And then third, to ask how some of the early church fathers, these people behind me, answered that question. Sometimes in language that was a bit complex or philosophical, and sometimes breathtakingly simply. How did they answer that question? Who do you say that I am? So why is it such a challenging question? Well, because the people who beheld Jesus beheld him saying and doing things that only God can say and do. He says things like, "Before Abraham was, I am." He says, "I am the resurrection and the life." And then he backs this up by action. He heals people. He raises people from the dead. He calms storms. He forgives people's sins. And then it's the people who are asking the question, who is this person who forgives sins, who calms the storms? This is the work, and these are the words of God alone. And then this same person says, "I thirst." This same person asks, "Where have you laid Lazarus?" He doesn't know. This same person is born of a woman. He's an infant. He has to grow in wisdom and in stature, it says in St. Luke's Gospel. These are things that are typical only of human beings. So this same person is at the same time embodying all of the characteristics of God, and at the same time embodying all of the characteristics of us, human beings. It's a challenging question. How can one and the same person embody these two apparent opposites? As I said, he's a walking, speaking, healing question. So why is that such an important question? It's an important question because it is a saving question. It's a matter of who can save humanity? Who can save the world? And there's two answers to that question, actually. The first answer is only God can save. Only God can save us. Not some kind of intermediary, God can't send an angel to save us. God can't send a kind of a second-tier God to save us. And not a great human being can't save us either. Only God can save. That's part one of the answer. But part two of the answer is God can only save by reaching the depths of who we are and what we need. God can only save us by becoming one of us, vulnerable, susceptible to temptation, and mortal, susceptible to death. Only God can save, and he can only save by becoming one of us. So this one person, Jesus Christ, has to be both fully divine and fully human. That's why it's such an important question. But the importance of the question doesn't take away its challenge. It only emphasizes the challenge of it. And so the early church fathers and councils struggled with how to articulate who this person is. Who do you say that I am? And so they came up with different language that says, well, he has human nature. We can speak of nature in our own language and say, well, it's kind of what it's like to be human. In accordance with his human nature, he says, I thirst, I hunger. He asks where Lazarus is laid. He dies, he is born. According to his human nature. And then according to his divine nature, he says, I am the resurrection and the life, and raises Lazarus from the dead, and rises himself from the dead. So it comes to be said then, certainly by the 4th and 5th centuries, that he is known in two natures, divine and human. And we think, okay, great, it's all solved by philosophy. But no, because the controversy isn't over. People say, wait, two natures, that sounds like two persons. It sounds like there's two Jesuses, one who is the son of Mary, a human Jesus, and the other who is the divine, the Son of God, and these are somehow two people who are in some kind of allegiance or alliance with each other. That's a totally unacceptable answer. So how do we articulate it in a way that rules out the wrong solutions? Well, the councils did that too. And it's done by a very simple principle. First, let's stay on the complicated level. In the Nicene Creed that I think we all know, we sing it or say it at every divine liturgy, we come to this complicated word of one essence, or consubstantial. It says Jesus Christ is of one essence with the Father, consubstantial with the Father. Complicated word. We sing it, we say it, of one essence with the Father. The Nicene Creed sets that word up in a very simple way. It calls Jesus the Son of God, and then it says that he is light from light, truly God from truly God. Light from light, truly God from truly God. The Nicene Creed works on this very basic, evident principle that like begets like. It even says in St. John's Gospel, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. It's an obvious thing. The Bible speaks of rams and sons of rams. It's the same thing. Horses beget horses. Fleas beget fleas. Human beings beget human beings. I am a human being because I am born of human parents. And this basic logic works for God himself. The Son of God is going to be exactly as divine as the Divine Father, of the same stuff, consubstantial. And so by the time we get to the next council, next couple of councils in the 5th century, it works on the same principle. Before the Council of Chalcedon says he is known in two natures, it also has to set that up in the same way. Because it says, this one and the same Lord Jesus Christ is begotten of the Father, and therefore embodying all the characteristics of the Father. And this one and the same Lord is born of the Theotokos and ever Virgin Mary, and therefore embodying all of our human characteristics. We will notice when Jesus asks that question, who do you say that I am? In just a couple of chapters, he revisits that question. He says, what do you think of the Christ? Whose son is he? And you realize that's the whole thing right there. Whose son is he? And now we know why that's an important question, is because whose son or whose offspring you are is going to dictate who you are, what you are. So there's a double answer to that question, whose son is he? He is both the Son of God, eternally, from before all time, and he is also the Son of Mary in time, in history. So I think this is one of the most important and also one of the most accessible, simple ways that we can talk about and comprehend or begin to comprehend Jesus being both divine and human. He is the Son of God and Son of Mary. And we actually sing this often in the church. At the Feast of the Annunciation, we sing, "Today is the beginning of our salvation. The Son of God becomes the Son of the Virgin." That is what the incarnation is. The one who is ever and eternally divine becomes also human by being Son of God and Son of Mary. We also sing on a couple of occasions during the church year, beautiful as so much of our hymnography is, "The one begotten before all time of the Father, without a mother, is born in time of a mother without a father." One person, double birth. And once you realize this, you can't forget it. You hear it everywhere. You hear it in Christmas carols. You hear it in the hymnography of the church. And you'll hear it in the scriptures. So Christ's question, "Who do you say that I am?" is really dependent on that second question. Whose son is he? And we know the answer to that question. And that's the crux of our salvation, because only God can save. And he can only save by becoming one of us. And I will close on one more mind-blowing tag on here. We too are supposed to become little Christs. We too are called to become not only children of our human parents and therefore human beings with human nature, but also we are supposed to be born from above, adopted as children of God and therefore partaking of divine nature. And that's another IOTA talk on divinization. Listen to that one. Thank you.